Oh, hello there, and welcome to Phil Talking D20. That's right, a second video this week. Something has gone wrong somewhere, and when we find out where, I'm sure it will be calamitous. But, be all that said, I have managed to somehow find the time to do a second video. So, miracles do happen. Happy Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Birthday, in case I miss any of them. Hopefully I won't. Now, what's today's video? It's Black Friday and it's Paizo's sale, but it gave me an interesting opportunity to, I suppose, discuss a talking point that sometimes pops up for Pathfinder 2, which is there's not a lot of content. Which isn't true, because there is now a lot of content. In fact, there's so much content that I'm struggling to keep up with it, which is quite frustrating, but in a good way. So, the sale is on the PDF versions of their products, which is a big help. And I just thought I would kind of jump in, throw out some numbers, and I suppose maybe make some recommendations. So I am on the Paizo website as we speak, simply because to try and keep track of all this stuff in your head without being able to look at it is nigh on impossible. But we have got three beasteries. Full, not like, oh, there's like 10 pages in Beastery 1 and 20 pages in Beastery 2. No, we're talking about three full-bore, full-chat beasteries that are now available for Pathfinder 2. And obviously that is Beastery 1, Beastery 2, and Beastery 3. So you can pick those up as PDFs for $11.24, which is a lot of monster bang for your buck. Let's be clear. So there's a lot of monsters and a lot of villains, and we know that they are including more beasteries in the pipeline, but they have steamrollered 3 out early doors to make sure there's plenty of juicy stuff to get your teeth into for DMs to terrorize your players with, which I'm all in favour of as a DM who enjoys terrorizing his players. You've got the, I suppose, supplement rules books that include new rules content in the form of items and player options, classes, races, things like that. The Advanced Player's Guide PDF, I would highly recommend. That's got Swashbuckler and some other great stuff in there. You've got, again, £11.24 on the old PDF there, keeping you in the know. You've got the core rulebook. Now, that's an obvious starting point, because the advantage that Pathfinder 2 has is that the core rulebook has everything you need to play. It's not you need the Games Master's Guide and you need the Player's Handbook. It's all in one bag. So $11.24 for a massive book that is absolutely chocker full of lore tidbits, all the core classes, all the kind of the core mechanics, skills, feats, everything that you would need to run a game bar monsters is in that book. So that and Beastery 1 is $22, and you are absolutely ready to rock and roll. So that is a really great combo. You've got the Games Mastery Guide. That has got, it's worth buying for this one thing alone, and that is the supplementary rule free archetype. Now, if you're well versed in the lands of Pathfinder 2, you probably already go, everybody uses that, so I don't, need to kind of pick it up. But the obvious point is that if you are just getting into Pathfinder 2, if I'm honest with you, the only way I play Pathfinder 2 now is with free archetype. I love it. It's brilliant. And loads of other people love it too. It's a great way of just adding a little bit more flavour and depth and incredibly unique character kind of combinations to your players without them becoming wildly imbalanced and wild and janky and out of control, which you can do by using the dual class rules, also found, you'll thank me later, in the Games Mastery Guide. That also has good broad strokes, general kind of guidance in that book. It's a very useful book, but like I said, just buy it for free archetype. If you've not played Pathfinder 2 before and you're kind of sat on the fence, buy the core rulebook, buy the Monsters Manual 1, and then buy the Games Mastery Guide and make sure you include free archetype in your first game, and then come back and thank me later for just how awesome it was. Now, what else have we got? We've got the latest additional rules books in the form of Guns and Gear and Secrets of Magic. They're in here. Yes, that's right. They're at $11.24, which is cheaper if, obviously, you're buying from where I am in the UK, because the pound is obviously quite good against the dollar. Not incredible, but obviously that's a benefit. So if you like, that's a quick snapshot of the kind of the core books, if you like. I mean, technically there's like 31 core products, but that's including special editions and the kind of the different versions, like the pocket version. If you don't have a lot of space, or you don't want to lug a big heavy hardback to and from gaming sessions at your local gaming store, Pathfinder do these little versions that they call what do they call them? Pocket editions. I literally just said it. That's right. It's Friday. It's been a long week. Please be gentle. And they're like yay big, and they're paperback, so they're kind of a bit soft and a bit flexible. And they're actually, to be honest with you, I almost in some respects prefer them because they don't hog as much bookshelf space. But that's by the by. So we've briefly touched on the, if you like, the rules and mechanics and supplemental books that are available for Pathfinder 2 in this particular sale. But then we have the adventure paths, of which there are a number, and these are the big, chunky, long-ranged, long-lasting, 6-year epic slugs of epicness that will take you from first level to 20th level. They are normally spread across multiple Chonky Boy books, and we have in those the following: Strength of 1,000, a magical school like no other. The oldest and most prestigious magic academy in the world is the Magambia, an ancient institution founded by the greatest wizard the world's ever known. So that is the Strength of 1,000 snapshotted off their main page. We've also got the Fists of the Ruby Phoenix adventure path. The time has come again for the Ruby Phoenix tournament. The sorcerer Hao Jin has invited only the strongest martial artists, adventurers and fortune seekers to her world-famous fighting competition. Much fighting ensues. We have the Abomination Vaults adventure path for those who love a good dungeon delve. Brave heroes must venture into a dungeon full of beasts and traps to prevent a spiteful villain from rising again. That is your absolutely raw, hardcore, classical super dungeon or mega dungeon, depending on how much of a nerd you want to be. We've got Agents of Edgewatch. Amid the hustle and bustle of the world's most famous Sentinel Radiant Festival, the guards of the so-called Edgewatch precinct must ensure the festival's success and the safety of Absalon's citizens. So Absalon is the biggest, most magical, most fantastical city on Golorian, and you are playing members of the Watch trying to keep the peace during this festival that's taking place. And then we've got, we're still going. That's quite correct. One of the things that I sometimes hear is that people aren't interested in Pathfinder 2 because it's not a serious kind of, RPG, because there isn't a lot of content. It's already got probably as much, if not more, than 5e. If you don't include third party, it definitely has more than 5e. I mean, the bestiaries alone. 1 bestiary or 3. Extinction Curse. Come one, come all. Spectacle meets savagery as the heroes strive to stop the Extinction Curse. That one frameworks initially around a circus and then obviously spills into a big adventure from there. Age of Ashes. The mysterious fires burning atop an abandoned Hell Knight citadel are but the first of many discoveries waiting to be uncovered. And then, coming soon, they're still making more adventure paths. They will continue to make more adventure paths because they're mental and they love it. So, like I said, those are the big, like, multiple book, start to finish, 1st to 20th epic slogs that some people really get into. I am not one of those people. I am too homebrewy for those kind of books. But we also have a range of the smaller, if you like, they're not one-shots. They are kind of multiple session, short mini campaigns with obviously a strong kind of narrative hook and beat to them. So you've got Malevolence, which is, it very much as it sounds, it's horror themed. It has haunted house elements to it. It is very, it's got some strong Cthulhu vibes to it. We've got Night of the Grey Death, The Fall of Plaguestone. These are a very kind of undead, kind of horror drumbeat-esque kind of dramatic pieces. The Fall of Plaguestone is pretty rough. It's pretty. I mean, it's full on zombie apocalypse in a fantasy medieval world where in the world canon they demolish major kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Well, a major knightly order. The Knights of Last Wall is all but destroyed. So it's serious dramatic events that take place in these things. We've got the Slithering. We've got Troubles in the Tari. Again, these are all down to kind of, well, some of them, yeah, in fact, they're all down to $11.99 as PDFs. You've also got, now, I'm not sure these will be as useful, but you have got a chunk of the flip mats as PDFs, which are down to like $7, well, nearly $8. But that obviously gives you a really quick, easy fire grab of decent adventure content if you don't homebrew that you can get hold of very easily, because obviously downloading a PDF is seconds to minutes depending on the quality of your broadband. Other broadband may be available, but also you've got a really great deposit of resources for both players and GMs to really get stuck into. And because it's discounted down, there's no reason to not grab a couple of bits. My recommendation would be, if you are on the fence, I mean, you can even buy the beginner's box set as a PDF. So if you are really on the fence, or you just want to have a bit of a dabble for fun, and you're probably still not going to get too heavily into RPGs at all, maybe you just want to have a bit of a dabble, I mean, that's $11.24, and that is a beginner's box set. So it is a mini adventure with what they kind of call simplified rules, which is essentially only the rules you really need to run that adventure. And it's got a pretty simple, solid, classic fantasy kind of adventure path kind of beginning to it that sets a party off on this classical kind of, little kind of dungeon adventure. You've got the rules for how to create characters, basically, the breakdown of skills, all that kind of stuff. I think there's some map content and things like that as well. Obviously, it'll all be PDF, but it's everything you need to genuinely 100% sit down at a table and run a game. And for $11, if you're not that serious about it, or you've never played any RPG and you're thinking about jumping in, that's a really cheap, easy way to get stuck in. And if you find after 2 or 3 hours of play you really like it, like I said, jump straight into the core rulebook, because again, $11 and you've got everything you need to carry on playing, because you wouldn't even need to buy other books. And the reason I say that is because you can make do and piecemeal very effectively using the Archives of Nethys, which is the Pathfinder 2 and Pathfinder 1 online SRD, where they put a lot of rules content. So even like the latest classes like Gunslinger and Magus from the 2 most recent kind of rules supplement books are available to you. The monsters are all on there. If you don't want to buy a bestiary, you don't have to. You should, because you should support Paizo if you enjoy their content and their products, so that they can continue to create more. You know, that is the cycle of capitalism. But that is, if you like, my brief rundown of why it's a great time to get into Pathfinder 2, and the fact that there's a cheeky bonus sale that helps you get into it for some pennies saved. So, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Hopefully it's been useful. Hopefully it's maybe opened your eyes to the fact that maybe now Pathfinder 2 is very much a serious and ever-evolving book to be considered, or RPG system to be considered. I mean, we've not even touched on the pre-orders. I mean, right now, if I just jump to the pre-orders section, you are looking at, I think, the Book of the Dead that's coming out. That's going to have Thermitage, I think, if I'm correct, in it as another playable class, and obviously all sorts of kind of rules covering those kind of, if you like, undead hunting specialists, but also general kind of horrors of undead. There's another book coming out early next year that's all about knightly orders, which I am well excited for because I've always had a bit of a thing for that kind of stuff. So you know, you've got a huge content stampede kind of coming towards you as we speak, and it's been ongoing for months. So there is a lot of content already out. There is a lot of content coming out, and right now, across this weekend, you can grab discounts and easily get hold of cheap PDF copies that will get you very strongly up to speed with that content. So I highly recommend diving in. I highly recommend grabbing some PDFs and then getting it at the table, getting stuck in, and enjoying it with friends. Be that in tabletop, in virtual tabletop, in the form of Foundry or the other one. Foundry is the one I'm kind of going to recommend, actually, because they seem to be working really hard to specialize in Pathfinder 2, whereas one of the other big kind of providers, really it's kind of, its bag is 5e. That's where it wants to be. It supports Pathfinder and Pathfinder 2, but I kind of get the feeling that it's second fiddle a little bit, only a little bit. But you pick your poison, you enjoy the one you enjoy. I'm certainly not going to recommend one over the other. You've also got things like Discord, which is what I use. I don't use a VVT. But then the traditional sat around a table, either at someone's house or in a hobby store, all of this will get you up and running with that. Enjoy it, get into it, buy some great content. If you've been a bit and ahhing about Guns and Gear or some of the other books, a cheap PDF copy, you can't really go wrong. Enjoy it, stay safe, stay classy, and of course, I will see you on the next video. Peace.